Welcome to the episode 12 of This is Moose Country. I'm Scott McIntosh and joined as always by Brad Kusner. Got our head coach, Andrew Lord from your Halifax Mooseheads coming up here shortly for a little post-mortem on the season and recap his first year in the Q and he'd get his thoughts on the team and the league and things to come in Moose Country as well. And Brad, I think we got to start by doing a little recap of what's gone on in the playoffs since the Mooseheads have obviously been eliminated, going down in 4 straight games to Rouen-Noranda. Maybe we start with that series, of course, and your thoughts on the Huskies. Really a domination of the Mooseheads in that one.
Yeah. It was a tough series. Rowan's a great team. You got to give it to them. They came out. They were a different level altogether than Drummondville. They one of our guys, Travis Kennedy, who worked with Steve Hartley, said, their forecheck, he's like, we just live and breathe off our forecheck. Mm-hmm. And they had 4 lines coming at you at all times. And it just seemed like the high we had in Drummondville, it's hard when you're young to manage the emotions of, we just went through a game 7. Now, 2 days later, we have to get right back to it against a better team and be, ready to go for another long series. So, kudos to them. We didn't have much gas. It was a long series. Poor Jacob Steinman saw a lot of rubber, but what were your big takeaways? I
think same thing. It was just a team that was clearly the better team. They were a little more rested as well, but they're ready to wreak some havoc further in the playoffs here. The Mooseheads did so well to get as far as they did. The injuries were mounting, as we know. I mean, even Carlos Handel at the end was added to that list, and just a mountain too tall to climb for the Mooseheads in that one. And again, didn't get blown out. They they hung in there. They did their best, but just really hard to get any sort of offensive creativity going against the Huskies, who really, like you said, the forecheck is smothering. Mm-hmm. You don't have a second once you get the puck in our own zone. They played very well defensively, kept everything to the outside for the most part. Samuel Milosh didn't see a ton of dangerous shots from the herd from in tight. They just couldn't find their way to get to him, and just a really well structured team, Rouen-Noranda, and I think that they're not done yet in these playoffs because of the way that they're going right now, and the better team won. But hats off to the Mooseheads for how they played, and the 3 20-year-olds for what a fantastic way for them to finish off their career. One with the upset over Drummondville to make it that far, and then to finish on home ice too. You get that extra special moment for the 3 of them, crowd standing and cheering for them at the end. A lot of emotions pouring out of the entire team after that final loss. But kudos to Braden McPhee, Brady Schultz, and Jacob Steinman for everything that they did with the Mooseheads and throughout their careers.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the impact. It's interesting because you got a guy who came at Christmas, and we've talked about it before. Has there been a guy that's shown up for half a year that's had such an impact on the Mooseheads? With Steinman, he's instantly become a fan favorite. He's one of the best goalies in the league, and he's just loved all over Halifax immediately. Yeah. And so for him to only be here for the second half, it seems like he's been here for 5 years because people love him that much. And then the other 2, I mean, Schultz, your captain, Braden, your assistant captain, and been Mooseheads their whole career, and just the impact that they've had. And, on the ice and off the ice, they're 2 great kids, and you could see that, they didn't want it to be over. Nobody really wanted it to be over for them. Kudos. You could see the refs all coming over and, giving them their props because they're great kids and great players, and they play the game the right way. So it was a great way to go out. Obviously, you don't want to get swept, and you don't want to go out and you want to go out with the Memorial Cup in your hand for sure. But it wasn't our best year, but an awesome way to go out on home ice.
Yeah, better than expected. Again, we've talked about how such a win-win season. You come, third to last in the league, so you're in the draft lottery, which we'll talk about here shortly, and then you make it to the second round of the playoffs. So it's you get that. I think incredible playoff experience for those young guys who will continue with the Herd to go through a battle-tested series like it was against Drummondville and even the Rouyn-Noranda series. It's a great way, exposure for them to see that's the same style that the Mooseheads will want to employ going forward, is that really structured style, rolling four lines, tough forecheck. Like that is exactly how you can kind of picture this team in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think even though it was a 4-game sweep, that's invaluable experience for the club. And so I think, again, win-win season all the way around. You get those extra home games as well. Great for the ownership as well. You get a little extra cash. But really, the main thing is that playoff experience for the players and the exposure for them. And I did want to go back, though, and say my favorite thing about the end of the career of Braden McPhee is that he goes out in the penalty box with a little slew foot at the end. There's no better way for him to finish his rat style career than that.
We were watching. I was watching with a couple of the coworkers, and we said McPhee's going to do something here. You just knew that McPhee was going to end. Like, there's no way he's going down without a fight.
Yeah.
So dumps it in, a little slew foot, and Brady Schultz gives him knucks on the way off the ice. It was like the Bash Brothers. It was a perfect way for him to end his career.
Yeah. Could you think we could break a little news that maybe we edit this out? I don't know. But Braden McPhee, at least in the off season, joining the Mooseheads business office for a little bit as an intern.
Yeah, exciting. He's going to do some business stuff and a little bit of hockey stuff. So we'll be happy to have him in the office and kicking around and sharing all the stories of the season, which is great. But listen, he's a hard nosed guy. We met earlier in the year, and he said, he just loves hockey, loves being involved in the game, and wants to learn on the business side and also keep learning on the hockey side. So he'll be a great addition for the summer.
Yeah, so he'll be joining us soon. We'll probably have some further details about that very shortly.
Yeah.
So Mooseheads knocked out, but maybe we go over the other round 2 results and the predictions that we
see how far
quite possibly
we
got wrong yet again. Yeah. Moncton over Bakemo. The Wildcats really rolling. They take the Drakkar down in 5. Not a huge surprise there. You got that one bang on. You said Moncton in 5. I had Moncton in 6. So
good.
Chalk one up for
we'll take
Cuzzy.
Yeah.
Thoughts on how the Wildcats are rolling right now?
Yeah, I mean it's just that's a championship team, right? Bakemo's, they're hard to play against. They're well structured. They're they're well built. It's just a difference of a good team to a great team. Moncton kind of imposed their will, and there were some very close games for sure, but good teams find ways to win, and they did it in 5 games, so they didn't make much work of it and move on to the next series. But they're flying right now. I think that's their first loss in 25 games or something like that. So they're gonna be tough to stop.
Yeah. Well, it's good to lose one, right? A little just deal with that a little adversity once in a while, even though not much adversity. But
they enjoyed Bakemo so much they wanted to stay up an extra couple nights up there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, great season for Drakkar goalie Lucas Beckman, 17-year-old. He's been incredible. He's added to Canada's U18 Worlds roster as well, and just a great year for him. He's one to watch for in the future.
Yeah, great goalie. He's just battles. He's he's been awesome all year for them. So good to see anything to get added to the Team Canada. I mean that's a pretty special honor. Yeah,
and Liam Kilfoyle, of course, from our own Mooseheads is there now. So congrats to Liam and good luck, and Carlos Handel with Germany at the U18s, and that's all taking place in Texas here in the next little bit. So we'll be watching that as well.
Yeah.
Rimouski takes down Chicoutimi in 6. Good series, some tight games there, a couple of OTs. That's one I got right. I had Rimouski in 6. You had the upset, Chicoutimi in 7. But again, tight series.
Yeah, it was much closer than I can't say than I thought, because I said Chicoutimi in 7, but very close games. 2 good teams. Chicoutimi is going to be great next season. So they got a lot of guys coming back. A lot of their guys that are meaningful to very meaningful to their team right now coming back. So they're going to be a scary team to watch, but with the experience that Rimouski has, some of the guys that they have, an older team.
Yeah.
You're going to run through some of the guys that are out, but even the guys in, like bringing in a guy like Fashon and what he's meant for the team, and Mathieu, the captain, he's an absolute horse out there. He does everything. So having those leaders, that's what wins you big games.
Yeah, Rimouski, a bit of a laundry list of injuries, but we'll maybe talk about that when we talk about these semifinals here in a moment. But speaking of Chicoutimi, a team that's going to be good next year, another team that's going to be good next year, and they're good now, is Shawinigan.
Yeah.
And they kind of, maybe it's the biggest surprise for me in round two is the fact that they swept Sherbrooke. Both of us had Shawinigan in 7 because really the Phoenix have been playing some good hockey going into that. And again, some close games in that one, but Shawinigan clearly the better team. They sweep and they're really rolling.
And some dominance in the games. There was some, doubles and shots and things like that you haven't seen Sherbrooke really give up that much during the season, but it seemed like Shawinigan kind of came at them and took it to them and didn't stop for 4 games. So kudos to them. We've said this, a couple times that when they came in, they were one of the most impressive teams that we've watched. And, they've got a slew of younger guys, but they move the puck well and play as a team. So they're going to be, it's we don't think it's their year.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
Yeah.
They're in the 3rd round, but they're set up for next year as well. So which could be scary for the league.
Yep. A little bit of local flavor for those interested as well, with Cole Chandler, a Bedford area guy.
Yeah.
And of course, Reese Paichu played here with the Mooseheads as well, not getting quite the ice time he was earlier in the year, but obviously still a key component for that team.
Yeah, it just shows the depth that they have, right?
Yeah.
Because he's a good player and it would have been good for us this season, but it just shows the depth that they have.
Yeah. So because of that, it's now the number 1 seed Moncton Wildcats taking on Rouyn-Noranda, and number 2 Rimouski taking on Shawinigan. Not a cakewalk for either of the favorites here. I will say that both favorites move on.
Yeah.
But long fought series, probably Moncton in 6, and I'll say Rimouski in 7. But I think Shawinigan's playing such good hockey. We saw how good Rouyn-Noranda is. It's not going to be easy for Moncton. Probably the Wildcats just have so many more weapons than the Mooseheads had to employ against the Huskies. So it'll be difficult for Rouyn-Noranda. But what do you think about this semifinal matchup?
Yeah, I mean, you think about even the longevity of the playoffs and playing against good teams. You play against a team like Baie-Comeau, they grind you down. And no slight to us or to Gatineau, but right now Rouyn has played the 15th place team and the 16th place team. So
in for a rude awakening here.
Yeah, well, and it's either that or they're rested, right?
Yeah.
They've given up 1 game as well as Moncton. So
they only had 2 healthy scratches the entire series against the Mooseheads, right? No injuries whatsoever.
No injuries
that we know of.
Yeah, so it's that could play in their favor.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be tough. I still think Moncton. I'll go Moncton in 6 as well.
Yeah.
I think the building in Rouyn is tough to play in, tight space, which Moncton aren't as well equipped for because they do have so much skill. But I still think Moncton just has too much.
Yeah.
Too much powerhouse. And then Rimouski, I'm going to, just off of the fact, and I've said this to you, just off the fact that I don't want the final series to mean nothing. So basically, if Rimouski gets to the finals, they're in, Moncton's in, or
whoever they're facing, right?
Or Rouyn. Whoever they face in the finals would get in automatically. So I'm going to go Shawinigan in 7 and hope that Shawinigan plays either Moncton or Rouyn. So at least it's exciting in the finals.
Sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of those injuries, Rimouski, getting through in 6 over Chicoutimi. Here's the players that have been missing on and off. Anyway, Matthew Cataford, reigning MVP, former Moosehead. Eric Matejko, big forward that they picked up mid-season from
World Junior player.
Yeah, Junior player. Played with the Sea Dogs. Luke Coughlin carried off a stretcher in Game 4 after getting hit from behind. Yeah, first round picked ahead of Dylan McKinnon, I believe, 4th overall perhaps in 2021. Spencer Gill has been out for some time now.
Probably their best D.
Oh, absolutely their best D. Yeah. And their starting goalie all year, William Lassell, still hasn't played. He's now dressing as the backup, but hasn't played at all in the playoffs. And you and I kind of chatted, like, do you think that, they know, hey, we're automatically in the Memorial Cup? Maybe these injuries aren't as serious as they could be, or would they be playing through them otherwise? And they're thinking, oh, got to rest up, or things are so tight-lipped in the playoffs, don't know exactly the extent of these injuries.
Yeah, I don't think you ever do. I think it'd be hard to keep a guy like Cataford out of the lineup. I from what I know, he's a bull and wants to play the game. But it is, it comes down for them. It comes down to 4 games, right? Mm-hmm. So they could have lost, they could have not made playoffs and still been in these 4 games. So the more meaningful, I know you have to look long-term for a team like this.
Yeah.
Getting past Shawinigan is what they want to do, not necessary, because they have to focus on those 4 games. So if it's, if you're going to have beat up Catafort for a series and a half or whatever it is, or you're going to have them fresh for 4 games in the Memorial Cup, there's something that's a little bit more important, right?
Yeah, I think you'd rather come in guns blazing in the Memorial Cup rather than limp in on one leg.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple of those guys, Matejko is a game changer. Coghlan's a good D. Gill's their best D. Catafort's, everybody here has seen what he's capable of doing. So, they're not third, fourth liners out of the lineup. That's a difference maker when you come down to, games in the Memorial Cup.
Yep. Hey, somebody that stepped up for Rimouski in the absence of some of these players. Somebody we know well, Lou Levesque, having himself a playoff run right now. 5 goals. And some key ones. Scored the game winner the other night as well. So good on Lou.
Yeah, he's he's been up and down on the top line with Vachon and Mathieu. So 2 great players, 2 20-year-olds to play with, which is always makes it a little bit easier. But struggled going to Rimouski right off the bat. So good to see him kind of playing some good hockey here in playoffs.
Yeah. Well, Wildcats Huskies begin Thursday night at the Avenir Center in Moncton. Oceanic and Cataracts begins Friday night at the Coliseum in Rimouski. So your semifinals are set, and 4 very good teams. I think it's going to be an entertaining semifinal battle between all 4 of these clubs. So.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Good hockey.
Something that happens before that, Wednesday night coming up, 7:30 Atlantic time, our time here, is the QMJHL Draft Lottery. And that'll be held on RDS. If you get that, I believe the QMJHL will also stream it on their YouTube channel. Now being held virtually. Cam Russell was supposed to be on a plane heading to Montreal. Apparently RDS still in some temporary studios after a flood last fall, and coinciding with the Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs, that takes priority for RDS, surprisingly.
Don't understand that one.
And the Habs, of course, playing on Wednesday night, game 2 of that series. So that means the draft lottery goes from a 30-minute special down to a small 10-minute block on there around 7:30 on RDS. So we'll be watching that for sure. The GMs from the teams will be there, virtually, on Zoom. Cam Russell, Trevor Georgie of the Sea Dogs, Kevin Cloutier of Victoriaville Tigre. Gatineau's pick is owned by Newfoundland, the regiment, so head coach and GM Gordy Dwyer will be on Zoom, along with Quebec GM Simon Gagné. And in studio will be Assistant Commissioner Martin Lavallee, kind of playing the role of Bill Daly, like the NHL Draft Lottery. And there are 21 balls in the lottery. Victoriaville, last overall, they've got 9 of them for a 43% chance. St. John is next in line with 6 for 28%. Then it's the Mooseheads with 3, and that means 14%. Gatineau / Newfoundland, 10% chance, and they have 2 balls, and Quebec with 1 for 5%. So can't say haven't seen the 14% odds never win, because it has happened, but anything to move up would be gravy, I think, for the Mooseheads. Fingers crossed you don't move down, right?
Yeah, and from what we're hearing, the top 3 to 5 are all high end, which is good. I think, statistically, the first overall is normally pretty good in the league if you look over the past number of years. So Obviously, getting that would be great, but it does look like there's some high end talent here. So being in the spot we're in, it isn't a bad thing. But it's going to be exciting. It's there's a couple players that could change franchises, which is obviously would help.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've all been doing lots of elite prospecting in
Maybe
the office.
Too much. Yeah.
I mean, Alexi Joseph was the consensus number one going into this year. Didn't quite have the season, I don't think, that some were expecting, but he's kind of a can't miss guy. 6'4" centerman.
Yeah.
Probably the skating will need some work at when you're 6'4" at the age of 15. It takes some time, right? But he was a big one. James Scantlebury, a forward, high end electrifying forward as well. Smaller guy.
Yeah.
Those are two of the names that have really been bounced around the entire league for quite some time now. So look forward to seeing, where the Mooseheads end up and what their mindset is going into the draft as well. I think, obviously this year was lack of scoring, right? So he probably looking at a forward if possible, but they're going to take. If they end up third and the best player available is a defenseman, they're probably taking a defenseman, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it depends on the order. I think that's the biggest thing, and you kind of plan from there. But a 6'4" centerman would probably do okay in the
league. We could use that.
Yeah.
No, so looking forward to the draft lottery, and of course that all leading to the QMJHL entry draft, which takes place in Quebec City this June, Friday night, June 6th, and then the rest of the rounds 2 through 12. I think it's been reduced from 14 to 12 this year. Will be held on Saturday the 7th at the Videotron Center. You going to join us for that one, Brad? You make that trip?
I hope so. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. As long as
Brian allows us.
Brian allows us. Yeah.
No.
We'll do some live pods up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a good time.
Can't say no.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's such a good time. Like, it's one of the things I think the QMJHL can be extremely proud of is what they do in terms of putting on a draft. It's second only to the NHL in terms of hockey drafts. I think you look at like the other ones are online, OHL and the dub. It's so well done and such a cool thing for the kids involved.
Yeah, and the NHL's gone online as well.
It's true.
So it is. I wasn't part of it. I didn't go to my draft, but I do. There's always a good video. One of my best friends, Logan Shaw, getting drafted and just going up and putting the jersey on. It's so special for, like, he talks about it all the time. He was 15 and had braces and was 6'5" and 85 pounds. But it's such a special moment for these kids, and to be drafted to the Q is pretty special anyways. And then to be able to go up and get the jersey and get the hat and meet the team and things like that, it's a pretty cool moment for the kids.
Yeah, and this is a big year for the Mooseheads in terms of continuing this development. They got a hit on their picks, especially those big high ones. And next year should be even better. They've got Rimouski's first round pick. You would expect the Oceanic to really take a tumble next season and that pick be high. So these next couple of years are big in terms of the future of the Mooseheads, and looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to seeing what this NCAA rule change means in terms of the draft and how many Americans are now going to be taken. It's fewer rounds than before. Now it's wide open. You're not thinking, oh, well, this guy's going to tell one team that he's going NCAA, but he's really telling another team that he'll come. Those games should, for the most part, be over with now. And I know, was it OHL recently drafted? It was a record 81 players. I don't think they're all American, but 81 players who were participating in American programs. And, in the old days would have probably had NCAA aspirations and now still can, but could be interesting to see how it changes things.
Yeah, it's definitely changed the landscape. It's it changes the top 3, the top 5, the top 10. There's all of a sudden a whole new crop of players that we always joke about Jack Eichel getting drafted here and
with a high pick
and with a first round pick, and now that's not out of the realm to get a guy like that up for a couple of years for 1 or 2 years, whatever it may be. So, there's teams we've looked, thanks to elite prospects again, Chicoutimi is not scared to take a stab at guys who are going NCAA or whatever it may be. And now some of them may show up and can change franchises with how skilled some of these players are. So it's it changes everything. So it'll be neat to see.
Yeah. Save for the guys that are going probably U.S. development program. The rest of them are pretty much fair, open game, I guess you could say. And speaking of Chicoutimi, there's another player. Very interesting to see what happens is Ty Lawrence, younger brother of Josh Lawrence, who of course played here with the Mooseheads and was so good. Ty Lawrence, also very good player, played USHL this year, was picked by Chicoutimi last year. You got to wonder if they're planning on bringing him in, if they're shopping him around, what that could mean. I mean, that would be another player. It could be a great addition for the Mooseheads if they decide to try and make a deal like that happen. But it probably would take quite a boatload to get him away from Chicoutimi.
Yeah, and you look at you look at the draft, you look at first rounders, and everyone thinks they're going to come in and be impact players right away, and you realize they're still young. A lot of them are still young, and some of them are meant for different roles down the line. But Ty Lawrence is a guy who would come in and be impact right away. He's high level skill, and he would be very, very skilled. So to play on the top line, he'd be a guy who could change the game for sure. Yeah,
but if he decides to stick with the Sags and come there, hopping on a pretty good team, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge bonus for them without having to deal anything away. So
then we're happy that we play them twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So looking forward to seeing how all that unfolds in the draft, of course. But looking forward, in the meantime, to the draft lottery coming right up. And right now coming up, we're going to speak with Andrew Lord, who stopped by to chat with us and talk about the season, his first year in the Q, and everything else that surrounded that. So let's toss it over to Andrew. All right, we're joined today by head coach Andrew Lord of the Halifax Mooseheads, first year coach with the Moose, and recently wrapping up what we would call a very successful season in Moose Country. And thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, awesome to be here. Good to be on with you guys.
Lordo, you had a couple of days now to decompress after, like I said, was a successful year. You make it to round 2. What are your initial thoughts looking back on the season, and what did you see from this year from the team?
Yeah, I mean, obviously results-wise, a ton of ups and downs, a lot more losing than I'm used to, and I know this more than this organization's used to a lot of years, so it was tough on all of us at times, but I really was proud of the resiliency. I thought, to a man, the guys were great. I mean, there was a lot of games there where they could have got down or, been a little bit feeling sorry for themselves, and credit to the boys. They just kept with it and kept going. And I think ultimately it showed with, some of the big late season wins, and then obviously a huge first round upset, which was fun. I think the biggest thing from this year is the guys got better. They really did. You look, it's funny, Brad and I and the coaches will watch games from early in the year, and remarkable difference. You can't even recognize a lot of the guys. So I think that's what we're most proud of, and the biggest piece of this last season. And I think it's been a good springboard into years ahead.
A massive positive with the Drummondville series, and we'll dive into that a little bit. But you go in, you're 16th, they're in first over in the Western Conference. How do you rally the troops? What's the message behind that? It's David and Goliath, basically, but what's the message to the boys going into that series?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, without, I guess pumping the guys' tires too much, like we really went day to day this year. It was probably the only way to do it and keep the wheels on with, the record. The record was pretty poor, let's be honest. And both goaltenders, Roosty and obviously Steiny, were absolutely critical for us. Cirk's good when he got put in for some games, but I think there was belief there. I know there was. I think we had some really hard tests as the year went along, and we had some good wins. You think of even Moncton earlier in the year. You think of Rimouski. Obviously, the Cape Breton one to seal things off there on a really special night at home. I think. I think that gave the guys that belief. And, back to the question, we didn't talk a whole hell of a lot about it. We really just stuck to what we needed to do to try to beat them. And I think the small rink helped us in some ways. And I think, game 1 was critical probably to really, really instill a little extra belief there. And then I think we rolled from that point on.
Did it make your job any more difficult winning the first two games in terms of like managing emotions going back home up 2-0? Is that a tricky one? How do you manage that?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely talked about it. Obviously, Schultze and Steiny and Braymack were big pieces of that in the room, and other leaders. But you know, I will say we were laughing about it as coaches, like the enthusiasm when we won game one on the bench. It was. I've had less enthusiasm winning trophies in my coaching career. Like it was crazy. It was pandemonium. It was awesome, but it was also a little scary. But I think the boys caught themselves a little bit. Obviously, we had some chats, and I think we reset. And particularly coming home, to your point, I think it could have probably spun a little bit there, but we just kept at it, and really a day at a time was the answer there. And I think with the work the boys put in all season, it showed. I think we were ready, and obviously there was some ups and downs to the series, but on the whole, I think it was definitely our most consistent hockey.
You're on such a high, you come back, and I know from our fans' perspective, you're thinking, let's just get this over in 4 and we'll just move on. And obviously didn't go that way. They came back hard,
as expected.
As expected. Yeah, great team. But game 5 was probably the best game that we've seen the Mooseheads play all season. So is there different messaging coming back, or is it just stick to the game plan?
We're not a big, obviously there's rah speeches in the moment to get motivated and to draw some extra fire out of guys. But from a messaging, we really stay away from we're tied 2 games apiece. They did this, in the regular season. We did that 2 weeks ago. It really has no bearing on that one game. I thought we got reset really nicely. I know internally, something I haven't probably talked about until right now is the year before in Greenville, we went into a game 5 and we lost it. And I saw how pivotal that was for the rest of the series. We ultimately lost game 6, and that whole day internally, I was just saying we just have to have this one. And I didn't want to share that messaging with anyone else, but that whole day I just said that we just have to find a way. And I mean, credit to the boys. I mean, they just laid it out there, and for a youngish group, to see the way they shot or blocked shots and competed and extra efforts and wouldn't back down. It was awesome. It was really inspiring, and I think it's a great sign for what's to come.
It's one of those that if you win game 5, it's pivotal. If you lose game 5, it doesn't matter. We got them in game 6.
Yeah, you got a little coach. You got a little coach in you there, because you know the score.
Yeah.
And talk about too the players who stepped up throughout that series, because you had to fill in. Because there was guys who are dropping like flies with injuries, as it happens in a tough and battled playoff series, right? You've got Lincoln Waugh coming in playing a big role. He had the game 5 winner. It was great to see him do that. So yeah, just talk about the guys who had to come in and fill those spots, and you guys didn't skip a beat.
Yeah, it was huge. I mean, I think the depth guys were excellent. I think other guys that were already playing in the lineup stepped up. You think of the Walters, the Nazardines, some of those guys that maybe didn't play a ton of minutes were going, 8 to 12 minutes a night. All of a sudden they're playing, 12 to 15, and they really stepped it up, and we had depth up front. And, Wazzy obviously is the real obvious one. That was an awesome story. And, it's as coaches, those guys they're not playing down the stretch. Mosier obviously is another one.
Shout out to Ryan Fletcher too.
Yeah, Fletchy was great. And I think it's funny, as a coach, you've lived through it. You've seen it every year without fail. Those guys that are out of the lineup, it's such a thing. It sucks for them to not play. There's obviously agents, there's families, there's billets. Everyone cares about them, and it sucks to see a player go through that. From the coaching side, it's only a matter of time. And for whatever reason down the stretch, we didn't have a lot of injuries for a while there. We were lucky, knock on wood, for probably 3 or 4 weeks. And the messaging, even particularly to Wazzy and Mo, was like, just your time's coming. But you kind of get to a point where, we've said that now 10 years ago.
Maybe it's not.
They're kind of like, well, Lordo, I don't know, man. I think, maybe you're a little bit full of something. But sure enough, right? Just when you least expect it, game 1, in Drummondville, boom, we go down with 2 guys, right? And it was crazy for a couple nights there. Guys are going in and out of the room, and tons of injuries, and even the guys that finished the series or finished the second round were pretty banged up, obviously, and that was a critical piece of that first round win for sure.
And with those guys, Cade and Lincoln, like maybe 2 of the most positive guys to have. How big is that, even for the team, every day showing up for practice and still having that positive mentality, not playing for a month or 2 months or whatever it is?
It's everything. Honestly, you look at the Patriots, you look at any good team or great team, they all have those guys. They have those depth pieces that just no one talks about until they get talked about, right? Mm-hmm. When you think of Lincoln's big game-winning goal there. And it's a testament to them. It's hard. It's not much fun when you're playing junior hockey. It's close to pro, but it's not pro. You want everyone to play, but that's not the reality of the situation. And for the way they conducted themselves, they kept it upbeat. They kept pushing guys. They stayed in shape, which is another, that's maybe silly thing to hear, but it's a real thing, right? Practice shape and game shape can be a little bit different, right? So they were ready to go, and they added those nice minutes for us.
Yeah, maybe now we go into Game 7. I know you said it's day by day. Is it the same for Game 7, or is there a little something different in terms of messaging? And you're going up against a team who's been there, done that, the reigning league champions, where as opposed to the Mooseheads, who have a bunch of guys who really haven't been there aside from a handful, right? Was there anything different going into that Game 7?
I think that it sort of played itself out a number of times throughout the year where we had a tough loss the night before and we needed to rebound and have a win. And I think we sort of done that routine a couple different times, right? So a lot of the same messaging. I think we did some good correctional stuff in the morning. I think guys were able to reset. It was obviously Game 6 was a tough night, through and through. We got beaten up pretty good, and nothing was going the way we planned, and they were going. I mean, credit to them, they were excellent that Game 6. That was when they're on, they're really on. And Game 7. I think that first 5 or 10 minutes was critical, just to maybe not even to dominate or get the first goal even, but just to be in it and keep clawing away. And so a lot of focus on that. A couple, systematic small tweaks or things we need to do better, probably is the better way to put it. And I think right away you could tell they were maybe not quite as good as the night before. And we were better. And that little 5% shift each way makes a big thing. And then from there, we just kept going. And Steiny was obviously huge in the third, but, I thought that was maybe our best game of the series overall, right? There were so many positives to it. That's a special one. I told the boys after the end of the Rouen series, as awesome as it was, it's a little unfortunate in a playoff sequence where, as coaches, we couldn't give them a lot of accolades, right? Everyone was so high. Game 7, we're flying right to Rouen the next day. It's go, go, go. We just got to keep pedal down and try to go win another round. So it was fun after the season was over to reflect back on that more and give the guys a bit more props. And Cam had some really nice things to say too. And I think looking back on it, that's a really memorable one, right? I think I told Bray and Schultze and those guys that we're hoping in a couple years they can come back and really feel like they were the part of that was the series or the moment that really got us going for what's to come ahead. Obviously we have a ton of work and there's a long way to go, but it was a good start.
Massively memorable series though for Mooseheads fans and the history. It's I always find it's fun or more fun to watch maybe when you're not expected to win, as opposed to the pressure of, okay, we've got a really good team, we're supposed to win this year, and then when it gets done, it's almost like, okay, we were supposed to, and you don't get to enjoy it as much. It was really enjoyable to watch this group of guys accomplish that this year when, everybody, including the experts, had them written off and maybe not even winning a game in the first round.
Yeah, so. No, that's fair. I'll take a win at any point. I'll take a bunch of wins on a really good team all day. But no, it was good, and I think more. I think it was a good proof to the guys that the process of what they put in and the work they put in, for as much losing as there was, and there really was a lot of tough nights. And if the fans and everyone could see just, really behind the scenes how much the boys care, like our group is all in. Like, we have a fantastic group. Cam and Allie and the scouts have just found awesome people. And to see they're taking some of these losses like it's the end of the world, right? Yeah. And then to fast forward after all that and dig through it and get that, for the boys to get them for themselves and the fan base was really monumental. That on the ice game 7 there was pretty cool to see the boys
going into the dressing room. Like you said, like in your mind, we got to reset. We got Rouen to think about. How crazy was the dressing room after?
Oh, it was pandemonium. Yeah, the tunnel. A couple people are crying. Everyone's going nuts. I was like, oh man, we're like, I wish this was like game 4 or something. We got a couple more days to reset, and we were just like, all right, pre-scout time. Let's go. What do we got on Rouen? We were looking at them a little bit before, because we weren't sure, right? It went right down to the wire, so that was a little bit fortunate. We had a little bit of a look at them. Not that it did too much good getting swept, but no, that was a fun moment. I mean, it was pandemonium, and it was just awesome.
Yeah, Kilfoyle put that in the empty net. 2 of the best empty net goals I've seen in a while, though, in this series from him. And you can see they had some good support on the road from fans. See the Schultz parents there as well, cheering in the corner. It was pretty obvious that there was a handful of Mooseheads supporters there making their presence known. So that was cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Those goals were huge. It was nice having that little buffer too. I mean, that being said, we did the Bathurst. We pissed away the Bathurst game, obviously, with very little time left. So when Killer put it in,
calm down.
That was one of those moments. There was a bench cam. I mean, it was game 7 Stanley Cup OT winner kind of thing, and guys were going nuts. And
I think there is a picture of you looking serious where everybody's celebrating.
I don't think I meant to look that serious. That one, I've actually taken a lot of shit for that picture. My buddies have given me some hard times for that photo, so appreciate you putting that. Was that you putting that online there? That was good. But no, we were looking up as coaches. Like, I think that Bathurst game was like way less time than this. Like, we got to keep it going. We got to keep this thing, get this thing over the line. So I think in about 2 seconds, I was like, all right, we're probably good now. But it's a good night.
Yeah. You go to the next series. You said, obviously not how you wanted to end things, but a great Rouen team, and what can you guys take as a young team from what they brought?
Yeah, I mean, as painful as that was to get swept and to really just get dominated, especially in Rouen. I mean, it was ugly, and then then obviously the wheels came off injury wise, and we were really decimated by the end of it. As painful and as sort of anticlimactic as that was, it was a really weird feeling in the sense you win the Stanley Cup in the first round, and then it's like, oh man, like, all right, it is, it's the first year of the process kind of thing. It was, I felt for everyone that way, but I actually think that's probably the bigger series for us. I really do. Yeah. I think that's the more important one. Playing like
experience wise,
phenomenal. I mean, they're a phenomenal team. I don't want to give them too much props because they beat us up pretty good, but they were awesome. They play a really similar brand to how we as a staff, and I think as a whole organization, want to play in a way. And it was really, really good. I know even for myself personally to see as a first year in a league, like, okay, that's sort of where this thing needs to go if we're going to contend and we're going to be in there. And then equally as important for our young guys to see the pace and just no time and space and the physicality and the second, third, fourth efforts and how injured you got to be and still be able to play to carry on and find a way. I think it was invaluable, unbelievable, whatever it was, 7 days. And I think we're really going to carry that with us going forward.
Yeah, as we were saying, like every player on that role had an identity and played their role, right? Yeah. Like, and they rolled 4 lines. The forechecking pressure was unbelievable. Yeah. Like Yeah, that is kind of who we want to be, right?
Yeah, no, it was impressive, and obviously their rink helps in some aspects with the size, and they know how to play in it. And our group was, probably caught off guard a little bit as much as we tried to prepare for it. It's different,
Gets up
watching
there in
on
a hurry.
video and talking through it than living it. But very impressive from conditioning to intensity to killer instinct too. So I think a lot of great lessons, and now we just got to apply it. So no big deal.
yeah, that's it. End of the game, game 4 there. Special moment. You have the 320s on the ice, and just you talked about it quickly, but how meaningful were they? Schultze, McPhee, and Steiny, just for the team overall this year.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that moment too much because that was wild. First year I didn't know what to expect. Usually where I've been, the on ice ceremonies can be nice, but sometimes we're losing. I think we lost 5-1 with the goalie pulled. They got the empty netter. I was a little worried that are people going to leave here? There's traffic. They want to get out. I'm like, this could be kind of a tough standoff. And I mean, credit to our fans all year. I don't know. They were unbelievable, just backing us all the way through. No matter how poorly we played or what, they were just awesome. And then again, there for the boys. Packed house, and seeing that was just unbelievable. And seeing that emotion, it was so special, as was the 20-year-old night. Very similar. I kind of, both of those were real standout moments in my mind for those 3 guys. The players started coming by and hugging us on the ice, and I kind of got out of there. I was like, we do this in the room, man. Like Brad and Morg and Chucky were laughing. They could see we were all like, oh man, we got to get out of here. Kind of thing. This is
emotional. But we just lost too.
The loss, whatever. But the emotion, just to see, for Steiny, it's a tough trade for him, right? Where he thinks he's going for a Mem Cup and kind of gets the raw end of the deal in a way, as amazing as Halifax is. But for this moment in time, it was tough for him, and to see him respond and the way he played, and again, kind of behind the scenes, what he brought to our group, what he brought for Cirka, just that, just the professional approach, works his ass off in practice. A get better mindset, awesome guy, pretty funny guy, a little bit of he reminds me of maybe a vet in the ECHL, he's got some jokes, and he's got some, swagger to him, and he was awesome. And then the other 2 are the ones that really can get you emotional, to see Schultze, what he's done for the organization, as a low pick or wherever he was picked, and then just to claw his way and just, be the franchise leading defenseman of all time. And not only the points and all that, but the buy-in to the shot blocking and the physical, the compete, and then just the kind of awesome guy off the ice, not overly intense around the rink, just he really makes those connections with the guys. And I would honestly bet every single person loves him, they think he's a good friend just because of his people skills. And then Braymack, kind of a little bit, I can relate to him. Extrovert, fired up, just wants to compete, wants to get in a fight. Just that scratch and claw mindset, and just a dog on a bone. And through his compete and his intensity to get better. I mean, potting, what was it, 16 goals? I think we were saying. I mean, huge, right? First power play, penalty kill, doing everything. Literally. Pouring out getting every last inch of his potential out of him. He really maxed out completely, and all 3 of them were instrumental. And for me in my first year, I mean, how lucky was I to have, Rooster first, and then Steiny, and then those 2 guys in the room. I mean, it was awesome. Yeah. It was awesome, and some really big holes to fill.
And we talked about it quickly, but were you surprised? Minute left. Braymack goes out, slew foots a guy just to go out in Braymack style.
No, not at all. That was
you saw that coming.
I was kind of thinking, I wonder if it'd it'd be pretty like Bush League if you got in a fight right now. But I was like secretly, it'd be pretty awesome too, you know. But probably shouldn't do that. So that was probably the best for 2025. So but yeah, that was awesome, and that was as low as that night was. That was a really special moment at the end there for those guys.
I was down at ice level afterwards, and like you said, the emotion of each and every player coming off the ice, every staff member down there. Been around the team a long time. I have not seen that emotion at the end of a season, aside from when the Memorial Cup was lost on home ice in the final, in the Memorial Cup final 2019. I think it just goes to show what a tight-knit group this was and how the brotherhood really came together this year. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, 100%. The guys get along great. It's fun seeing them come in the room and get down to the practice facility, and they want to be there. They want to be there through and through. They want to get better. They want to work, and they're fun to be. If I could turn back the clock, I think it'd be a fun team to get to play on and be a piece of. As a coach, you're obviously in a little bit of a different light, but fun to see how close they were and how they went to battle for each other too.
Can you share any of the words that you said in that room afterwards with us?
I mean, nothing crazy. I think it was really thanking the 20s. A lot of what I just said, maybe in a little bit more of an emotional fashion. And then from there, just the way the guys went about their work all season. I mean, they all improved. They all scratched and clawed and just stayed positive when things got tough. And I think that's the real judge in athletics and in pro sports is, I mean, anyone can be good when they're feeling their best, or when they're healthy, or the coach has them on the first line, or on the power play, or whatever. When things are going their way, it's really, what can you do when things are tough? When you're injured, when you're sick, when your back's against the wall, whatever buzzword you want to use. And the guys came up spades on that all season long. They just again and again and again kept fighting and scratching, and I think they got rewarded for that in the Drummondville series. So good first step.
You go through your first year. We kind of looked at Drummondville and Rouen and playoffs, but for you now in the planning stages for next year, what do you take away? Like, what are the key takeaways for next year and moving forward? Where do you see this group going?
There's a ton. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of work ahead for sure. A lot of excitement, still probably getting my head around those answers now that we're, a week after and first couple days, you're sort of trying to get your mind off things and do exit meetings and all that. And then, now we gotta sit down and take a real good hard look at where we need to get better. But I think the summer's probably never been more critical for a group that I've been involved with. I mean, I'm looking at, I don't know, it could be 16 players. Like if they knock out of the park this summer and they come back 10, 20, 30% better than they are, then we're in a really good spot, and them personally, they could be in a really good spot. We got a number of draft eligible players next season. There's guys, if they take a step, they could literally change their lives. And is that pressure and is that a lot of sacrifice this summer? 100%. But I think it would definitely be worth it, and it'd be great to see. And I think that's where it starts, is this summer. Obviously it's, in North America, it's different than Europe. In Europe, they're keeping everyone around all year. The way the landscape is here, we can't be overly involved, but we can be somewhat involved. And I think, I think the summers are critically important for the guys. And then from there, training camps really valuable too. This year we were fortunate with having a lot of guys, no one actually went to NHL camp. So as much as you want that for a new coach, like it was a dream come true. We had the boys for a month basically all together, right? Where you look at like a Moncton, I was talking with Gardner and they had everyone gone, right? So we'll see what that looks like. That would be the next step. But I'm really excited. I think we laid the groundwork. We had a lot of guys come in and systems, just the onboarding was a huge jump for a lot of young players, which it should be coming out of midget or prep school or wherever they were. I feel like now we can take another step with the next part of the progression, more skill development, more ability to adjust on the fly systematically without overloading the guys, right? Because it's a real balance. So, and then from there, expectations, like, I'm a big one day at a time guy. I don't know what that exactly looks like for next playoffs or anything like that, but I think we can really take a step and keep her going. And I'm excited about it. I think long term, when you back this thing up a couple of years from now, I think there's some awesome pieces culturally, playing wise, and I think we can really knock this thing out of the park eventually.
Yeah, you finished the year with 5 16-year-old players on the roster, which is a lot compared to most teams. It includes first-round pick Danny Walters, a guy who's physically mature for his age already. How a high end do you think he can be in this league? Like, he'd be a beast in front of the net at some point.
He's
right?
exciting. Yeah, he's obviously, competitive nature through the roof. Love it. Throwback player. You're not seeing that guy much anymore, particularly in this league. He can really differentiate himself with a huge summer. He comes back and, he's obviously got areas he needs to improve and to grow a little bit. And if he can do those things and apply it to what he already has, I think the sky's the limit. So he's a guy that's a, true leader, heart and soul, Halifax Moosehead. We don't want to pump him up too much yet. He's got to put the work in and do it, but you can project this thing over the next 3 years, over the next 5 years, and over the next 8 years of what that looks like. And I'm hoping we have a talk here in 8 or 10 years, and we're trying to get a hold of him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hoping he gets us some tickets somewhere.
Yeah,
so, he's the sky's the limit, and super excited. And he's a great summary of what our group's about. I believe he just loves the boys, loves being around it, loves competing. Obviously, closely connected to the fan base, being a local boy, and just all in on the Mooseheads.
Now, another guy we brought up, Nick Cirka. We've talked about him 100 times here, and I'm sure you guys have with Steiny. But new wave, Steinman's done. What do you see in Cirka? Obviously, he has one of the best leaders to learn from, but where do you see his game going? Yeah,
it's exciting. I mean, I think heck of a find, and I think getting him in mid-season, as hard as that was for Millsy, that's obviously a really tough conversation, and that guy was obviously elite for our culture. But to get Cirks in and to get that, whatever it was, 4 months to see it, it kind of reminds me of when I was in pro, a guy coming out of college and getting a taste at the ECHL or American League level for a month or two, going off to do his summer and then coming back. His summer is going to be so much better now for having lived 4 months of this. Obviously, didn't play a whole hell of a lot, but his practice intensity, learning how to be a pro at this level, are all great tools that he's acquired. I think he's been buying into that more and more every day. I think Charles Grant's done a heck of a job with coaching him up on that. And I also will say, when we threw him in under fire there a couple times when we're trying to get Steiny a rest for the next day, he was great. It was eye opening, and a couple big wins too. Even I think it was his first game in St. John. He was awesome, and I think that's another really exciting piece. I'm also not going to sit here and act like I'm some goalie guru. The goalies are the foreign one to me. That's the goalie coach. That's that's a Cam and Alley, and no, I'm just kidding. But he seems great, and he's obviously got all the tools and the talent and the work ethic.
Yeah, you mentioned Chuck Grant, a goalie coach. Maybe talk a bit about the working relationship you've developed with him. Associate coach Brad McKenzie, who's been here for a number of years now and does a great job with the D, and Morgan McDonald at his first year. Just what's the group been like for you guys, for all of you, really?
It's awesome. Yeah, I think the group, all the way from Cam and Alley all the way down, I think all of us are, it's a tight working. It was really, really cool to see, kind of coming in as a new guy, somewhat late, getting the job. Almost everyone other than maybe Morgan was already here before I got here. And I really felt like I got welcomed in with open arms, and, we're just a tight knit group. We get along. I think everyone works extremely hard. I think we're not afraid to debate ideas, and not everyone's some yes man, which is really important. I think it's been a really enjoyable year for myself, having more support. I was very lucky in my last 2 stops, but less staff, right? You know, on the coast, you're dealing with one assistant. In the UK, it was a guy that had a day job and he's helping out a bit, you know, and here to have as many pieces to it, it's, you know, probably a little bit of a mini American League setup, right? Or NHL setup. And it was awesome. You know, start with Brad. I mean, from day one, awesome. Unbelievable guy. I mean, everybody knows that the sky's the limit for him. He's gonna knock it out of the park long term. I think his just an awesome blend of work ethic, mind for the game, feel, you know, how to support me, but also, you know, want to challenge ideas and kind of work together. I think that was just awesome. Really appreciate everything he helped with this year and us going at it together. I think, you know, Morgie was great too from a video standpoint, from a skill development standpoint, really helped out. And I think a nice blend where Brad and I are just going bonkers all day and we're high energy guys and Morgie's a little softer spoken and a little bit of a lighter touch is maybe a good way to put it. And then Chucky's a bit in between, right? And he's the goalie guy, but you know, not a weird goalie guy, which is good. And just a guy you can have a chat with and a coffee with. And I think he had a really, really nice, you know, obviously had two great goaltenders, which made his job easy, but I'm kidding. But he, you know, seeing the way he worked with Cirks in particular was really exciting. Like he's got an eye for it. He's got a real good feel. Great coaching on the mental side of things too. So yeah, I think Cirks is in really good hands there.
You brought up coaching in Cardiff quickly, but you were a player coach there. So are you skating down the ice and calling lines? Are you putting yourself on the power play?
100%.
How does that work? Because I would have loved to do that.
Yeah, I was Reggie Dunlop, basically. Yeah. It was Reg Dunlop with a lot more seriousness to it. So basically, I played there the year before that happened. I was able to do my master's. We had a unfortunate, like, you know, just team was having struggles financially. We were, you know, 9th place, one of the last place teams in the league. It was a pretty ugly scene. Not many fans in the building. And 4 guys from Calgary bought the team. They grabbed the managing director would be the you know, president more or less from Belfast. They grabbed him. They were all buddies from back home in Calgary. They bought the team. Fortunately, someone, one of the previous assistant coaches who did a lot of the recruiting was close with, he kind of saw it coming down the pipe and said, "Hey, this might be happening. You know, would you maybe be interested in coaching?" And I said, 100%. I really loved coaching. I always got a lot of it in the summers. When I look back in Oklahoma City, I was injured for a whole season, and those guys in the American League were really good. They let me coach there, so I got not coach, but they let me kind of be an extra fly on the wall and do pre-scouts and skate the injured guys. So I got a taste of it there, and then fast forward, jumped on that, and basically I could still play a little bit at that level. I was a decent player. And to kind of balance the books, it was something that league still did at that time. There was maybe 3 of us that season. I think it only went on for a couple more years. The last 5 or so years, or maybe 8 years, there hasn't been any player coaches, but it was an interesting experience. I mean, it was hard, the hardest job I ever done by far, because to try to run practice when you're doing practice, I mean, it's tough, you know, but a heck of an experience. Let me get my foot in the door coaching wise, and a lot of fun as well.
You got to pick one player on the Mooseheads now. Player coach, who are you picking?
Player coach.
Yeah.
On the current team or the team that just ended?
The current team here.
So the 20s are included too?
Is that cheating?
No, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay, we'll go 20s too.
So Schultz would be great. The problem with Schultz is, as a high offensive defenseman, you always have the puck on your stick. Yeah. You're running the power play. You're going to have more turnovers than other guys. That's
hard to preach.
Not a good one. He's in the room barking at the guys. What are you doing with all these effing turnovers? And, you know, then he's throwing pizzas up the middle, right? So where Bray, you know, is a little bit more how I was a player, where, you know, you just block some shots. You're good on face-offs. You're raw. It's a little easier to then go in and bark at the guys.
Good motivator.
Good motivator for sure. Yeah, Bray from those guys, from the new group or from the guys returning for next year. It's a good question. A player coach.
This is the first time somebody said we had a good question. So
yeah, it's a record for
nice to hear.
I like Kilfoyle comes to mind. Hardworking guy. I think he'd be willing to put the hours in. It's not for everyone, right? Yeah. You got to do the video. You got to do the pre-scouts. You got to put a lot of extra time in that no one sees. His games in order for the most part, obviously. And I think that'd be a good pick. I gotta think what else. Maybe Philly Phillips would be good too.
Yeah.
Good, steady, 200-foot D-man.
Yeah.
Smart guy. Got a good read in the room. Yeah.
A couple of guys that were part of the leadership group this year and 100%. Clearly will be next year as well. So what can you say that when you look back in your first season in the Q, what's something you learned about the league this year?
Ooh, that's a good question. I like to do my homework, so what I thought it was going to be was basically what it was. Yeah. As crazy as that sounds, I'm fortunate. I got a couple buddies in the CHL and definitely did my homework on it. I thought there'd be more of a difference coaching the young guys. Everyone asked me that one, like what?
He's more teaching. Right?
Yeah, well, everyone said, "Oh, it must be so much different." It's very similar to the ECHL in the UK. And obviously the guys are older than those leagues and maybe the problems are a little different, but still problems, right? You're still managing, you're still, everyone wants to be on the power play. Everyone wants their ice time. It's very similar stuff. Maybe having a coach the systems in maybe a little greater detail, maybe it takes a little bit longer to get that going would be something slight, but not even that much different. I think the Q is a heck of a league. I mean, really professional. The fact that everyone flies in playoffs, if it's over a certain amount of mileage, is unbelievable. I mean, what a game changer that is travel-wise. The travel's really not bad at all for us. I can't think anything like glaringly, wow, that was a eye-opener or anything like that.
I do want to ask, since you went to RPI, you played down the States, how big of a change is that for the guys, and how awesome of an opportunity is it for them to now go down and be able to play NCAA?
Game changer. Yeah. I think I'll relate it to myself. I was drafted by Prince Albert late, I think maybe 11th round or something. I was playing for the Burnaby Bulldogs Junior A, I think maybe when I was 15 or 16. I got traded to Vernon in the BCHL. So I'm 16 that summer. What do I do? Parents knew hockey a bit, but they never, my dad didn't play at a high level or didn't know the landscape. It was a really tough decision, right? I mean, a brutal decision, honestly, almost where we didn't even know what to do, right? Yeah. And basically we decided that I'd go to Vernon, hopefully get the scholarship, which I was lucky enough to do at RPI, go to a great school, give me a little bit longer of a runway to, potentially turn pro. I wasn't, some first round stud or anything like that. But I mean, this is really, really, it's in the best of everyone's interest. It's awesome. Now you don't need to tell a 16-year-old to make a huge decision.
Yeah. So much pressure.
So much pressure. Yeah. You can go, there's a lot of avenues now, and I think it's good for everyone. I'm interested to see how the landscape changes, with our league, and just exactly how many bodies come to our league that wouldn't have before, and what the USHL does now, and what's, I laugh when all these NCAA guys now come to practice or call us or chat with us. Like back in the day, it would have been like a war zone, right? Between the CHL and college. And now everyone's buddy, which is great and probably a little more healthy too. But I think it's great for the kids. I'm interested to see. Ask me in 3 years, we'll see how it kind of all turns out and where it goes from a pure number standpoint, and what teams or what leagues it makes better.
Yeah, we're up. Here we are, draft lottery day, and we're going to have a top 5 pick. Will be interesting to see how many American players are now taken in the Q draft, right? Like there's going to be an influx, I would think, this coming draft. So this June we'll will be a telltale for that. How excited are you to be at the table, your first Q draft with the Mooseheads in Quebec City this year?
It's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to keeping a close eye on everybody. No, I'm just kidding. Just having fun, mixing it up with everybody, getting a feel for it. Scouts are great. Cam and Allie are great. I think it'll be a really fun experience. And I've been trying to figure out what to do. I'm not much of a superstitious guy, but for the last 24 hours, I've been wondering, like, what can we do to get this first pick, or how do we get the highest pick possible, or how's our luck going to be good for us today? I haven't come up with anything, so we'll see how it all unfolds, but I'm sure any way it goes, it'll be good.
Since the season's ended, have you jumped in with Cam? Like, do you want to be in on that process, watch a couple players and, kind of have a little bit of a pick, or is there a way of, here's what I like, here's, the type of players we're looking for? Is that open conversation?
I think we have a great relationship. I think it's, it extends to Allie and Brad, and I think everyone's really on the same page, or I know everyone's on the same page. I think we have a great working relationship. I think the communication's really good. I think at this level, it reminds me of how the NHL and American League went, where, before it was one guy would do everything, and now there's a reason why there's multiple roles. And, for me to sit here and say that I got a good idea on first round picks in this upcoming year's draft is just not true. I barely know these guys at all, right? So I think it's more we chat about our current team and our current guys and what we need to do to get those guys better, and what we need to do to maybe fill some areas that we need help in and whatnot. But outside of that, I think our GMs have proven their worth. I mean, you look at I'm a homework guy. When I looked back when I decided to take the job, I knew full well what happened in the last bunch of rebuilds, right? Really good results every time. So I'm super excited about what's to come. And I think I'm going to be a good cheerleader at the draft.
Yeah, you say you're a homework guy. I think it's obviously, I know you're in the wee hours of the morning, you watch a ton of video. Enlighten us on how much video you watch.
I think any coach at these levels is just, you have to, right? It's the technology's advanced at such a rate now. It's the only way. If you're not doing that, you're doing yourself a disservice. You probably won't be around very long, and you're certainly hurting your team. So I think that's the standard. I don't think I'm doing anything different than a lot of other guys, and I think everyone's grinding at this point. I do laugh with some buddies that it would have been fun to coach in like the 80s when, probably just play a lot of golf and do a lot of other fun things. And it was a little different, but it is fun with how good the coaches have gotten. And especially I think the last 5 years, it's really kind of gone nuts. I think with just the level of the ability to learn now as a coach is so much easier with all the products out there and everything. And the adjustments and the amount that goes into it, even at this level, is remarkable. I mean, you look at our division and the coaches in it, from Gordy Dwyer to Gardner, obviously, and these guys, it's exceptional.
You talk about superstitions, and we talked to Braymac this morning. You mentioned that 3 a.m. it's not uncommon to see you biking into work. Is that typical?
I don't know. I don't know how he would know that. Maybe
he's working out at the same time.
There's some hot sauce on that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that timing. I like to get up early. I've always been an early guy. My 3-year-old kid also has a real bearing on that now. And I think it's nice to have some time in the morning before things get crazy to just get your thoughts in order and get, you got to be the best version of yourself if you want everyone else to have success, right? So that's all that is. And I will say for the playoffs, my only complaint about Halifax is this time zone. This time zone it's killing me right now. I mean, we're going first game of the night. What's the first game of the night? 8:30? Like
Vegas game comes on at midnight.
I fell asleep on the couch last night. I woke up and I think the Minnesota game was still going, right? It's 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning. Yeah. So I'm interested to see. I'm gonna have to maybe get up a little later and play the Stanley Cup final. I'll definitely have to make sure I'm up for those ones.
Being a BC boy too, right? Maybe the games start at 4, they're done at 10:30. It's kind of perfect.
Out west, you're laughing. Yeah. You finish work and you just right into game, whatever the first game is. You could do a triple header, no problem.
Yeah.
Are you? I think most of us now these days as adults kind of, you like certain players now. Are you still are you a Canucks fan, or do you not really?
I was a diehard Canucks fan growing up. Like I was Trevor Linden, Pavel Bure, through and through. The Cup Finals runs, 2 of them, just painstaking, heartbreak, Game 7s, but loved them. We were in Greenville. We were affiliated with LA for 4 years, so going to their training camp every year and getting to know those coaches and everything. Little hard to be this, crazy Canucks fan. So I think once I got coaching as a pro, it's a lot less now. And I still follow them. I'm intrigued, but I like the game so much. And I think a lot of teams and a lot of players at this point. I mean, the amount the game's improved here lately, it's crazy. I mean, the style of play the last couple nights I've watched, it's phenomenal. I mean, what a pace, what a tempo, what an intensity. I mean, I was watching that Winnipeg the Blues game there 2 nights ago, and I mean, it was just an all out war. It was awesome. I mean, the entertainment value was crazy.
Yeah, we'll ask, put you on the spot here. Prediction for the Stanley Cup playoffs and prediction for the President's Cup as well.
Gilles Courteau.
That's why Scotty's here.
Yeah, I don't know about doing that.
You don't have to.
Not like that. We'll stick with the Stanley. That's weird. I'm a coach for the Halifax Mooseheads. I don't. Unless it's us, it's nobody. For Stanley Cup, I will say I'm not a huge Leafs fan. Like I like following them just because it's so entertaining. Yeah. I think they're going to make a little more noise this year. I think this first round's been good for them. It's a little bit softer of a matchup. That whole divisional thing's crazy at the NHL level. And then, could they get through a Florida or Tampa next round? If they do, then I think they get to the Cup final. Yeah. I think they lose in the Cup final. And then out west, out west is just insane. Oh my God. Colorado, Dallas first round. I mean, what are we? That's like Cup final in itself, right? Yeah. So out of the West, it'll be someone. I think whoever's out of the West wins. I will go double back and say I think Florida was an eye opener last night. They beat up on Tampa pretty good, so it'll be good. I'll go with for a final win. I'd like to say the Oilers, but I don't think so. Colorado.
Yeah,
a lot of people around here would like that. So.
Yeah, good point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nate didn't know. There's so many.
If we do it, if we win it, he'll have to get on set with us.
That's It's out there, Nate. You need to join us.
Yeah, pretty please.
You did touch briefly on your time in Greenville, the affiliation with the LA Kings. A lot of people around here would think, South Carolina doesn't scream hockey hotbed, right? But it's a strong organization, great fan base. Just talk about the great time that you had with Greenville. I know you spoke glowingly of it in the past.
Yeah, it was incredible. So lucky from their former president Todd Mack and their current one Tim Vieira to the ownership group, Spire Sports Entertainment, heavily involved in NASCAR. They were really my first big break. I got the break in the UK to coach and to do what we did there. But I was scratching and clawing to get back over to North America for a couple years. And, those guys didn't need the NHL resume. They were more of like, okay, this guy can win. He knows how to coach. We liked the interview process and they gave me a shot. And then, awesome spot down there. It's the ECHL, it's not in everyone's mindset the best league, but it's an unbelievable development league. The players in there, like they've had 800 guys go to the NHL. Like it's the real deal, and the affiliations are awesome. I was really fortunate to kind of be a fly on the wall with the LA system there and learn a lot there. And I think you kind of get to run everything. I was the general manager as well, so you're doing recruiting, you're doing itineraries, you're doing budget, you're doing 1,000 different things, and It's almost like a college degree in a way. You're learning so much at that level. Super competitive, great coaches in that division. Also an awesome division from us. Like the stadiums are great. They're all big, good fan bases. Great cities. The Greenville community is phenomenal, and obviously the weather is the weather's the one I try to avoid, because that is something it's top shelf. When you're in shorts and sandals come February, everyone's pretty positive. So no, it was a special time. Really hard decision to leave. They really took care of me, but some really fond memories.
Just talk about that decision to leave, because obviously, like you said, great setup there. How does the opportunity come up in Halifax, and then what's the process of, actually getting the role?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. Obviously, I thought I was in the mix for a couple American League things. I'll never know how those ones turned out, because I jumped at this, but it was in the mix on a couple things. They were going pretty good in the summer there. It all heats up really quick. It's a kind of a couple week thing. I guess that would have been June at some point. I can't quite remember. Obviously got reached out to by Halifax and had a number of calls. Obviously with Cam, with Peter, with Sam. I don't know if Allie was on any of them. Maybe one. I got really fortunate though. Basically, I think I was in the mix for the job, and we had a real Maritimes pipeline to Cardiff. So we had Joey Haddad, who was in on Cape Breton. I guess we can't speak too highly of him, but Joey Haddad's over there.
He's on the business side. Job.
So it's not as competitive with us. But and then Chris Culligan, another Cape Bretoner, and then Stephen Dixon, a local Halifax boy through and through, had all them in Cardiff for years. David Bryan, we had in Cardiff for a year. So I think luckily enough, I was nice enough to them, and they pumped my tires to Allie and to Cam and the organization. And next thing you know, I got offered the job, and I didn't. I was really lucky with some of my buddies giving me the insight they did. They really, I got some good friends in the CHL, and I knew a little bit about the rebuild type of process. I knew a little bit about coaching the younger guys, and for me, it was a really hard decision, but ultimately to get to coach and to specifically focus on coaching is what I needed for my development. I was in a spot where doing the GM, doing the recruiting was awesome, but it takes a ton of time. And I felt like I was doing good in all the areas, but this really allowed me to become a better coach. And I think coaching the younger players was really appealing. We had 3 draft eligible guys this year. Halifax, for whatever reason, we got 15 to 30 scouts a night, for the NHL. It's a good city. It's kind of their hub. And we got them in every night, and getting to answer questions on our guides to NHL scouts, all the time. Like it's great networking. It's great learning to be under Cam and Allie with 50 years experience. I mean, it was a no-brainer in a lot of those areas. And like I said earlier, everything really turned out exactly how I thought it was going to be and what I had heard. And it was great for my own development. So without being too long-winded, that's the answer there.
I think we could dispel a couple of rumors here. I've been stopped by a couple of people, seen some comments online before, like, Andrew Lord's one and done. He's moving on after this year. Like, you're here for the long haul, assuming NHL is the ultimate goal, of course, but you're not leaving us after this year, right?
Yeah. As far as, no, I'm all in. I love Halifax. What a great city, organization, fan base, obviously. And I think we're just, scratching the surface here with the group we have. And I definitely think the best years are ahead of us. And I think I'm all in here going forward. So can't wait.
With that, it is time for our version of quick hits, we like to call it. We have some very short answer questions for you. So just first thing that comes to your mind, we're going to rhyme off some rapid fire ones here.
Oh, God.
Most talented player you ever played with or coached?
Ooh, played with or coached. Shane Morrison played 500 or 600 games in the NHL. Yeah, he was good. Washington.
Yeah.
Probably better, but I got to think about it.
Funniest player you played with?
Oh, man. Steven Dixon. I think I only coached him. I might have still been playing with him. I can't remember. He was a funny guy, yeah.
Hardest coach you played for?
Yourself.
Yeah, you could actually answer yourself.
Man, I've had some great coaches. I had Rocky Thompson in the American League, who's Philly. I had Todd Nelson, who's Hershey in the American League. Jim Montgomery, Seth Appert, who's in Buffalo as an assistant. The list goes on and on. I'm forgetting a few guys. I've had some great coaches. Hardest, though, like straight up hardest, probably my junior coach, Mike Vandekamp, Vernon Vipers. Yeah.
Worst QMJHL rink to play in it, like in terms of
staying away from.
Come on,
that's a loaded. Come on, I love all the rinks.
All right,
it's great history.
Favorite playoff series as a pro, or Cardiff counts for that sort of thing. Favorite playoff series.
When we beat Drummondville.
I was going to say, should we exclude that?
Yeah.
But
No, that's perfect. Yeah. Your favorite team to beat in the Q?
Oh, you'd really.
It's not bulletin board material.
Not a bit. It kind of is. I'm not big into this whole motivation thing. I think Moncton was fun. Gardner was like basically a perfect record ever last year. We beat them early. I think Gordy and Bathurst had beat them in overtime, but I think we were their first regulation win. And with sort of where the teams are at this year, that was a fun one for sure.
Favorite teammate ever?
Jake Morissette. He was, I had him multiple spots. We played together in Germany, played together in Cardiff, we played pro together a little bit in North America. We went to RPI together. I actually forgot that. Yeah, we were 4 years at RPI together. Just awesome guy. A good, really good player, even better guy.
Yeah, so attached at the hip, basically.
100%.
Right? Yeah. Most underrated player you played with?
Or coached.
Yeah.
Underrated player. This year would be Santini, I'd say. Coaching wise. Think back more. I'm trying to go through all the years in 10 seconds.
Yeah. Well, we'll skip to the next one. Your favorite bar/restaurant in Halifax?
Another loaded question.
Oh, no.
Too many options.
Establishment.
That's a good question. I do them all a little bit. I think like there's a bit of the Dartmouth side, obviously, with our practice facility over there. So, the Jack Astor's, some of these spots for meetings or for some casuals is a good time there. On this side, anything on the boardwalk for sure. They're all home runs.
That's it. That wraps up the quick hits and our interview. So thank you very, very much for doing this.
It was great.
Yeah,
Thanks, fellas.
That was awesome.
Appreciate it. All right. Thanks to Coach Lord for stopping by for that. Good to finally get him on and have a little chat about everything. He's I think he's won the fans over this year with the way he coached, the style he employed, and I know at the end of last year, we and the fans, everybody was talking about. We just want a team that we can, really get behind, that shows that they care and have passion, and there is no denying that those were two of the major points of this season and why the fans fell in love with this club.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. They wanted a team that you could be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Every night it's going to be tough to play against, and
yeah.
That is, like we've said many times, that is the Andrew Lord way. So it was great to have him on.
Yep. So thanks to Coach Lord, and have maybe some more hockey staff on here in the off season as we get ready for this draft coming up in June. And thank you to everyone who tuned in to watch and listen today, the official podcast of your Halifax Mooseheads. This is Moose Country. And if you want to see when the next episode is coming your way, make sure that you like and subscribe right on our YouTube channel here. Hit that button, and we'll be notifying you when the next episode will drop.
And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure to like, give us 5 stars, and leave us a review.